We'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing with Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada, chapter number 6, Dhyana Yoga, text 20 to 23. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyanatmani tushyati sukham atyantikam yattad buddhi grahyam atindriyam veti yatra na chaivayam sthitash chalati tatvatah. Yam ladva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tataha yasmin stito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalayate tam vidya dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samtam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material, mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So as we are continuing with Dhyana Yoga, where we heard a lot about Ashtanga Yoga, and now we are seeing that Krishna, in these few verses that we read just now, verses 20 to 23, is giving the symptoms of someone who is in trance, transcendental bliss, or we can say someone who has reached the stage of samadhi. Samadhi is not something that one can attain by going to the forest, giving up family, giving up all responsibilities, wearing saffron clothes, growing long hair, and just trying to do some meditation in the forest. No. Samadhi is a state of consciousness. It is something that can be achieved while one is in the material world, in family life, going to a job, taking care of all responsibilities. So these verses that you heard just now, they describe the, you can say, what the perfect yogi experiences, or someone who has reached that stage of spiritual consciousness or samadhi, or is in trance, which means far, far away from miseries. That does not mean that the miseries will not come to that person, that perfect yogi. The miseries will come based on past karma. But important point to notice is that such a perfect yogi who has attained samadhi or who is in transcendental consciousness will not get affected by the miseries. In other words, would have purified the mind and the senses to such an extent that these externals will not matter at all, because that perfect yogi has realized the self, has also realized the Paramatma or the super soul within the heart. And this is possible only with the help of yoga. Purpose of yoga is to connect with Krishna. And if one follows the process of bona fide process of yoga, then one will come to the stage of self-realization. In other words, one will be able to understand who I really am. Right now, most people are on bodily consciousness. They are only thinking about the body. They're only thinking about maintaining the body, enjoying the body, working with the body, everything. It's all bodily concept of life. But here in Bhagavad Gita, we learn how to go beyond the bodily concept and start thinking about the soul that we really are. That is our true identity, that we are a spirit soul. We just have this body as a covering, just like I have this cloth covering my body. So the body is that cloth that is covering the spirit soul. Now, to be able to reach that stage of trance, the mind needs to be purified. Only when the mind is purified, then such a perfect yogi will be equipoised. Nothing is going to disturb that yogi, whether it is success, failure, pain, pleasure, happiness, distress, heat, cold. Nothing will really shake that person. And that person, that perfect yogi, one of the symptoms is that yogi is satisfied, is not running after anything, is not running after enjoyment or running after joy, is so happy within his own self that is not looking for pleasure outside. So to reach that joyous state is actually what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. And it is a state of consciousness. It has nothing to do with this material body. So when a person reaches that stage of trance or samadhi, at that time that yogi is actually experiencing not material happiness, but transcendental happiness. Now, what's the difference between the two? In material happiness, there is a beginning and there is an end. Just like, let me give you an example. My grandson was with me on Saturday and he was interested in a 3D printer. Now, I didn't even know there was something like that. But, kids nowadays, they know almost everything that, gives them joy or happiness, any gadget or any, electronics or whatever. So we went to the store and he was so excited. He picked up this 3D printer, came home, and he started assembling. It took him probably an hour to assemble the 3D printer, quite big. And then he realized, oh, I need some more stuff for this 3D printer. So we went back to the store, came back, and he was so excited. And he, started working with it. And wow, he was able to get what he wanted, a 3D, what you call a figure of a dog. And I was thinking, so much money is spent, so much time is spent for what? To just see a small dog in 3D? And guess what? Today I came to know that printer didn't work. It stopped working. So he had to take it back to the store and get another one. So what was the happiness? There was a beginning. He was very, very happy. And then there was the end to that happiness because the printer stopped working. That is material happiness. But the transcendental happiness is permanent. It does not go away. It stays always. And so to reach that stage, The mind needs to be purified, and of course, the senses also need to be purified. And Bhagavad Gita is giving us the process how step by step we can do both. We can purify the mind and we can purify the senses also. Now, let's remember one thing. Mind is the culprit. Everything happens in the mind. Thinking, feeling, willing, everything, it starts in the mind. Of course, the senses, when they come in contact with sense objects, then there is attraction for those objects. But all that, planning and plotting, everything takes place in the mind. So mind is the culprit. So it's important that we fix the mind on something that is giving us higher taste. Give up the lower taste by going for the higher taste. And Bhagavad Gita is telling us how we can do that. How? By practicing yoga, and not just yoga, any kind of yoga, but the topmost form of yoga, which is actually bhakti yoga. And bhakti yoga is nothing but changing our consciousness from material to spiritual. That's about it. And what will be the result? The result will be that we will understand who we really are, not just theoretically, but practically. And not only that, we will understand who we really are, but also we will be satisfied within our own selves. We will not look for joy outside. We will be so satisfied. We will be like relishing, because it's transcendental happiness, boundless transcendental happiness. There is no end to that happiness. And that is possible only when the mind is purified, and also when the senses are purified. Then it doesn't matter, a person, that perfect yogi may be in a most difficult situation, must be under greatest difficulty, but that yogi will actually get freedom from all miseries because of the state of consciousness. And that is what we are learning from this verse, these few verses that we recited today, where Krishna is telling Arjuna that there are so many benefits to being a perfect yogi, so many, and these benefits are permanent. They are not temporary at all. It's not that they are there today and not tomorrow. So bhakti yoga can help us to go to the higher level of consciousness and give up material concept of life. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't live in this material world. Yes, we continue to live, but we just change our consciousness. And guess what? There is another result of becoming a perfect yogi. And that is, one can realize the super soul, the supreme Lord within the heart as the super soul. And that is possible only when the mind and the intelligence are purified and or are on transcendental platform. Then one will have the complete understanding of not only oneself, but also the supreme super soul. And the whole process is given in the Bhagavad Gita. All one needs to do is hear this knowledge, contemplate on it, and then put it into practice. That's all. And this process will also help us to understand what our real constitutional position is. Now let's take the example of a fish. The constitutional position of the fish is in the water. The moment you take the fish out, the fish will not be able to survive. So what is our constitutional position? It is to be in the spiritual world with the Supreme Lord Krishna. That is our constitutional position. To be in that original home from where we have come and to serve him over there. Our constitutional position is to be the servant of the Lord. Jivera Swarupoy Krishnera Nityadas. That the position of Jivera, of us, the Jivas, the spirit souls, is Krishnera, Krishna's Nitya Das, eternal servants. That is our position. Right now in the material world, we are servants. What are we serving? We are serving our mind, our senses, our family, our friends, our relatives, our boss. We are serving everybody that we can think of. So why not serve the Supreme Lord? Once we start serving the Supreme Lord, then everything else will fall in place. So here it's important to understand that Krishna is explaining to Arjuna the position, constitutional position of all living entities. And guess what? This Dhyana Yoga chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, it helps us to connect with him. It will help us to clear our mind, to clear the mirror of the heart. Right now, there are a lot of impurities, maybe in a little degree or more degree, but there are impurities in the heart. We must have experienced that sometimes, we are under the influence of lust, anger, greed, pride. It could be any of these impurities. So to be able to come to that stage of samadhi or to be in trance, all these impurities need to come out from the heart. And it can be easily achieved simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Due to contamination, you can say that right now our hearts are materially infected. Let's say that, there is material infection. And that is why we've forgotten who we really are. So now what should we do to treat that infection? We obviously need to take some medication. And that medication is nothing but mantra meditation. And then when we chant the holy names of the Lord, those powerful sound vibrations, they start cleansing our heart. They start cleansing our not only heart, our mind, and also our senses. And then we will be able to understand who we really are. See, the ultimate goal of yoga, the goal of yoga is nothing but devotional service to Krishna. And the best process for, yoga in this, especially in this age of Kali Yuga in which we are, is chanting. We have heard from the scriptures, Krite yadhyayato Vishnum tretayam yajato makhe dwapare paricharyanam kalau tad hari kirtanat. In kalau, in Kali Yuga, tad means we get the same benefit that we got in different yogas just by Hari Kirtana, just by chanting the holy names of the Lord. That is the best process in Kali Yuga. So we can go about our daily routine in life, whatever we do, go to a job, take care of family, friends, whatever it may be. All we need to do is change our consciousness. Of course, we need to go to work because we need to maintain the body and soul together. That needs to be maintained. So why not maintain it in a Krishna conscious way? In other words, simple living, high thinking, which means let us strive for bare necessities of life, not just start running after, increasing our sense enjoyment, because that is not really going to help us to reach that stage of samadhi. Let's see what Krishna says in verse number 24. He says, one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. So here the mind has a big job to do. And what is that? To control the senses. So that means it all is starting in the mind. Mind is the culprit. So here Krishna is telling Arjuna to practice this yoga with determination and faith and not deviate from this path of self-realization. Anything that we do in life, any goal that we may want to achieve, these two things are required: faith and determination. Faith that whatever I'm doing is going to get me to my goal, is going to help me reach my goal. And there has to be determination. If there's no determination, there'll be no progress, there'll be no success. So, how does one get determination? It'll come only from strong faith. And strong faith is possible when one takes on knowledge and one starts associating with like-minded people. When one starts practicing Bhagavad Gita, then these unwanted things from the heart will be removed. And then, like Rupa Goswami says, Adau Shraddha Tatu Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivriti. So first there is faith, Adau Shraddha, Tatha Sadhu Sangha. Then with the help of the faith, one should start associating with spiritually minded people, those who are interested in Bhagavad Gita, those who are practicing Bhagavad Gita. So then when one start associating, then what happens? Then there will be a desire to do bhajana kriya, which means practice Bhagavad Gita, put it into practice. And when one starts doing that, then there is anartha nivriti. Anartha means unwanted things within the heart. They are removed. So this is how then one will come to nishtha. One will come to that position of strong faith. Strong faith means nothing or nobody can change. That faith will not be, shaky. It is going to be very, very strong. And one needs to have this strong faith in Supreme Lord Krishna and then start following this process. And Krishna says he will help. Ye yathamma prapadyante tamstathaiva bhajamiham. Krishna says, as one surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly. So he will help us. He is situated in the heart and he can guide us and he can help us. And then when we follow this process, then there's going to be success. One cannot be successful without the mercy of the Lord. The blessings are showered from above based on our degree of endeavor. How hard are we trying? We cannot succeed without the blessings. So here Krishna is saying, abandon material desires that are born of mental speculation. People are generally very fond of speculating. Like, if I remember many decades ago when I used to, go to the office parties, Christmas party or whatever it may be, there, the colleagues are there and they have drinks in hand. And then here's a group talking, there's another group talking. And then sometimes, the topic will come about God. And everyone will start speculating according to their own, whatever their mind says, they'll decide, oh, according to me, this is God. According to me, this is what God does. And nothing is based on the scriptures. Anything that we talk about spirituality should be based on the scriptures, like the Bhagavad Gita. The Vedas, they are very vast. It's not possible to read all of them in one lifetime. That's not possible. So Vyasadeva, who's none other than Krishna himself, incarnation of Krishna, he gave the essence of the Vedas in Srimad Bhagavatam, the books that you see at the back. Now, the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, all those books on two shelves, is Bhagavad Gita, just one book. So if somehow or the other we can take guidance from Krishna, from the Bhagavad Gita, then we can help to kind of control the mind and not let it deviate, not go towards mental speculation, not try to say, according to me, in my opinion, I think so. No, we are imperfect beings. We have 4 defects. We have imperfect senses. We have tendency to cheat. We are in illusion and we make mistakes. That's why it says to err is human, to make mistakes is human. Now, if we have these defects, how can we come up with perfect knowledge? Like who is God? what is the purpose of life, etc. No, we cannot. We are imperfect. So we take knowledge from the perfect source, which is Krishna himself. So we do definitely need guidance to make sure that our minds don't deviate, that we follow the knowledge as it is and not speculate. That is very, very important. So the Vedas, they have given us the essence in the Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita can help us, with the help of guidance from Krishna, we can understand how to control the senses and how to control the mind. And here in the verse that we read, Krishna says, control all the senses from all sides by the mind. The five senses are like five wild horses. They all want to go in different direction. But then to control them, the reins are used, right? To control the horses, and that those reins, the mind is considered those reins. So we need to understand that if somehow or the other we can aim for higher taste, to give up the lower taste, and that higher taste we can get by mantra meditation, by chanting the holy names of the Lord every day, then there will be strong faith, there will be determination, and then one will be able to gradually come to that stage of samadhi, or someone who can be in trance and experience transcendental happiness permanently, not for a short while. But or to reach that stage, one needs to associate with spiritually minded people, one needs to take guidance from a teacher, one needs to hear Bhagavad Gita, one needs to read Bhagavad Gita, and above all, one needs to do mantra meditation, which is chanting. So it is an austerity. It's not that simple. Yes, it's an austerity to practice bhakti yoga, but perseverance is very important. So if we follow the prescription given in the Bhagavad Gita, then it will not be that difficult. It may sound difficult, but no, it will not be difficult. You know, just like there is a saying, God helps those who helps themselves. So if Krishna will see us making that effort, that sincere effort with determination and strong faith, then he is going to help us. Let us do one more verse, number 25. Let's see what Krishna says. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. So there is some more guidance from Krishna. He is trying to give us some more knowledge. He's saying step by step, follow this process, but it should be based on knowledge, not just randomly. So, in other words, this yoga practice is a slow and steady process. It's not instant, like, you know, you have instant noodles or instant coffee. No, it's not instant. It is possible, but it is gradual, but it has to be steady. To do that, definitely one needs guidance and association of devotees. So when we hear Bhagavad Gita, it is important that we use our intelligence and contemplate on what we have heard, and then work on it. It's not blind faith. Just because we heard it, we do it. No, we need to think about it. What is it that Krishna is trying to say? So when we will use the intelligence, then Krishna says gradually we will be able to cease the sense enjoyment activities. Then gradually we'll stop listening to the mind that is going to deviate us from this path, because the mind should be controlled by conviction, and that conviction will come only when we chant on a daily basis. Chanting is very, very important. That is the process for Kali Yuga. In Satya Yuga, it was meditation, meditation for 30,000 years. People used to live for 100,000 years in that age, in Satya Yuga. In Treta Yuga, it was fire sacrifice for a very, very long time. In Dwapar Yuga, it was elaborate worship in the temples. But in Kali Yuga, we'll get the same benefit from like people would receive in those other three ages, simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord. That is the process recommended in Kali Yuga. That is why I keep, talking about chanting in all my classes, because that is what is the basis of Bhagavad Gita. If we chant on a daily basis, then we will be able to understand this knowledge. In chapter 9, we will hear Krishna says, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. Guhyam means secret, that this Bhagavad Gita is a secret. Now one may say, but Bhagavad Gita is available, anyone can read it online or buy a book and read. But one will not understand the real meaning. That will remain a secret. That secret will be revealed only when Krishna sees us making that endeavor to understand, to follow his instructions. And what are his instructions? Satatam kirtayanto ma yatantascha dhridavritaha. That with determination, one continuously chants the holy names of the Lord. That is how, one can really understand Krishna consciousness. So today we have done only till verse number 25. We will continue with verse number 26 from next Tuesday onwards. So I would like to know, I'll stop here